Hello, you're listening to Mike Madden on the Art Show podcast. Here you will find interviews with authors, musicians, artists and anyone else in and around the arts. Some of the interviews are taken direct from the Art Show on Expat Radio, with one or two specials in between. This show features Rob Bridge in his latest release, True Romance. Hello, this is Mike Madden and you're listening to Words and Music. Tonight my very special guest is a singer-songwriter all the way from sunny Blackpool. I think I'm allowed to say sunny Blackpool. Well, welcome to the show, Rob Bridge.
How you doing, Mike? How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing well. So your musical career has been many and varied, I think it's fair to say. But you were inspired at the age of 12 to be in a band when you heard Twist and Shout, the original John Lennon version. Did you know where you were going to go at that point?
Absolutely no idea, because at that point I was into music, listening to early rock and roll and bands like the Shadows and the Everly Brothers. And the Shadows got me playing guitar, but it was only when I heard the Beatles it kind of made sense to me, because it was a different level of rock and roll, and it really made my ears prick up, and I decided, yeah, that's when I was going to be in a band.
I can remember back then, at that age, the only musical instruments I had ever sort of come across as a physical instrument were probably the triangle or the recorder. So what did you pick up?
Trumpet.
Trumpet?
Yeah, my dad was a cornet player in the RAF and in various bands and whatever. And I was always fascinated by music. And I listened to a lot of the music that my parents were playing in the house. So I did listen to actually a lot of brass bands. But yeah, I started to play the trumpet. I was always a bit jealous when I saw the people with guitars, but I just didn't have one. And then, after bugging my dad, he bought me a cheap guitar out of the catalogue, I think it was. And when he realised that I wasn't going to pack up my obsession with the guitar, he bought me a nicer guitar, which I've still got now. I still play with it now, yeah.
It's funny, isn't it, that, you don't realise at the time what the influence you can have on your children by playing music that you like. My kids are still obsessed with, actually, Johnny Cash.
Oh, nothing wrong. That's a good obsession.
It is. Now, you played as a touring musician with The Cavern, which is interesting to me because you played huge arena shows and live shows on the BBC. Did you ever get sort of racked by nerves or anything like that? And does the size of the audience make a difference?
Yeah, the bigger the better.
Right.
No, but in Cavern, it was kind of like a Beatles tribute band, but it was in the mid-'80s when there wasn't really tribute bands around. And we had a really great lead singer who looked and sounded like John Lennon. His name's Gary Gibson. He's pretty famous himself. And I was the bass player in Cavern, so although I was doing Paul McCartney's parts, the main star of the show was Gary, so he carried the weight of any nerves or whatever. I was never nervous. I just enjoyed it. When you know what you're doing, it's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And you were right about the back then there weren't really tribute bands. Now there's tribute bands for bands that are still going. It's a bit bizarre.
Tribute bands are tribute bands now, yeah.
You've also played in the Rockets, resident at the Cavern Club. And obviously the Cavern Club very much associated with Liverpool and the Beatles. But what's it like today?
Great. It's a great venue. I mean, yeah, I co-founded a band called The Rockets, which was, it came out of a recording project I've been doing with some friends of mine. And Chris Grinod, who's now the bass player, and he's the bass player and he's the leader of The Rockets. He's still doing it. And they do the house band every Friday and Sunday night down at the Cavern. But yeah, the Cavern's a great venue. I mean, you can play the same venue every night. It be in the Cavern because the crowd changes every night. It's not a regulars place, although there are a few regulars.
Yeah,
back and again. But it's a very, very international crowd at any time. Especially if Liverpool are playing football in the European Cup, you might have a bunch of, and I mean a lot of German football fans in there. Or if it's a weekend, you've got fans in from Brazil, from Japan. It really is a worldwide crowd, and of course everybody's there. Because they're interested in the Beatles and that kind of music. Well, the Rockets is a 60s and rock and roll band. So we play everything from the Kinks and Stones and Beatles, The Who, the Monkees, basically anything they want to hear for 3 hours a night.
Yeah, I guess it sort of ticks off something on their bucket list, doesn't it? Because they're in Liverpool, they've seen the football team, they might as well go to the Cavern as well.
Exactly. It's a big bucket list to tick off for us as well, because we started the band with the ambition of playing 60s venues, but where better as a 60s band to play than the actual Cavern, and to get it twice a week, every week, forever. It's not bad, is it?
No. I mean, it seems like a great gig, a nice, comfortable gig. You don't really need to do anything else. But what motivated you to go solo?
Well, I was busy doing other things when we were working with the Rockets, and we were getting so much work. I wasn't always around. No doubt you're going to talk about part of that in a little while, but I was abroad quite a lot. So it only made sense, for the boys to go their own way and me to do my thing. I still play with the Rockets every now and again. I still do other gigs and stuff with various people. But years ago, I'd been writing songs in a band with Chris from the Rockets. We had a band called Touch, which was a rock band from Preston, and we did very well. That was early 90s, mid-90s. And we did a lot of gigs with touring then as well. But yeah, it was just a development from that. It was to re-record some songs that we'd recorded badly in the past, record some of the songs that we never recorded. And also I had a batch of new stuff that I wanted to record. That's what you're listening to now with the single and the album. So yeah, it's just a development from that, really.
Well, let's dip into some of your music, and we're going to start off with this track, which is called Friday Night Lights.
After 7, grab a copy and I head out the door. I'm fumbling for the key that's gonna get me undercover from the rain that's kicking up off the floor. I hit the engine and the radio's on, giving me bad news, the same old song. Up ahead the road is red, just a shimmer in red from the tail lights dragging along. Oh, wherever fate may lie, nobody's getting out of here alive. Gunning for something, keep on running that track. Running so far I might never get back. At the end of the day, I gotta get away 'cause I'm falling. I got my back in the wall, I got nothing to lose. Everything's okay, it makes it easy to choose. Friday night lights never burn so bright, they're calling. Took a ride. Distant drums are beating. I can hear them, I can feel them, like a calling that'll never step aside. I hit the engine heading where I'm gone, burning down the road, just screaming along. In my head, the words I said, everything that I did, all the lines of this old time song. Oh, whatever hopes you hide. With both hands, give everything we can. Not one of us is leaving here alive. Gunning for some.
Hello, this is Mike Madden on Words and Music, and that was Friday Night Lights by my guest tonight, Rob Bridge. Welcome back, Rob.
Yeah, hi. I do like that song.
Yeah, I do indeed as well. So you touched on just before we went into that song about you not being allowed around and not being abroad. So you've got a close connection with a variety of people, such as Sting, Kings of Leon, Queen, Lionel Richie, but not necessarily in a musical way. So go on, tell us all about it.
Okay. Well, some years ago, quite a long time ago, actually, I decided I'd better get myself a proper job. I was failing to make it as an international rock star, so I needed to do something pretty cool. The only job I could think about that would really hold my attention would be to be a pilot. So I went and qualified to be a pilot, wound up going through commercial pilot routes and training, etc. And in the end, I wound up flying business jets. And we got a bit of a reputation on one of the aircraft I was flying on for doing band tours, because we were flying international rock bands around all over the place, really, but mainly Europe and Russia. And so for a decade or so, I was doing that, touring around with some really big names like, say, Sting and others.
And I guess you were tempted to just say, oh, well, while you're here, just listen to this.
Hell no. No. I was a pilot, Mr. Responsible at those times. And, it did come out with some of the bands that I was playing in a band like Kings of Leon. They knew. I mean, I got them down to the Cavern in Liverpool, and they got a behind-the-scenes tour of everything Beatle-like by Cavern City Tours, which they thoroughly enjoyed. It was a nice day off for those guys to go around and see all the Liverpool haunts, because being from Nashville and being musicians and obviously Beatles fans, they were very, very excited about that.
Yeah. And you've ticked off one of your bucket lists by recording covers at Sun Studios. What was that like? Because I always think of that as being, the ultimate in a wannabe sort of musician's tick list.
Can you imagine that? What a thing that was to just go to Sun Studios. It's a museum during the day and like a tourist shop, and it was really cool. But and I'd been and seen it before, but it was talking to an American friend of mine who said that you could still record in there, that it was operated as a studio now, and I hadn't heard that. So obviously the next day I rang them up, got speaking to the engineer, who's a guy called Matt Sprang at the time, who's a very successful Grammy Award-winning engineer, and I just got straight through to him. And we were chatting. I told him we were over there playing some festivals and that we'd be passing through Memphis, and we'd, wondered if we could come down and record. Well, he was interested in us because of who we were and where we were from and what we were doing. So, yeah, we just met. We booked a 3-hour studio session one night, and we rocked up just with our guitars straight from the festival gig, set up, and we recorded 23 songs in 3 hours. We just played live. Just everything was set up when we got there. We just plugged in and went for it, and it was very exciting. I mean, what a thing to do. I mean, coming all the way from Lancashire, and then the next thing you're playing in some studios. Some of the greats are recorded there. Obviously Elvis or whatever. U2 did Rattle and Hum there, and we used the same drum kit that they used for that album. It was great, really good experience.
Yeah, I've also heard that the original microphone that was used by Elvis is there, and that they can occasionally bring that one out as well.
Allegedly, I've seen it. I'm not sure. I'm not convinced. I've seen it, touched it, held it. There's a little cross on the floor as well where Elvis stood when he was singing "That's All Right," the first song he did there.
Yeah.
Well, Chris Grinrod, our bass player, is a mad Elvis fan. I mean, mad. And there was no getting Chris off that cross. As soon as we went in that studio, he found the cross, stood on it, and we weren't moving him. A meteor couldn't have taken him off it. It was very cool.
Now, your list of influences is a kind of list of the great and the good. That's Bruce Springsteen, Bon Jovi, Bryan Adams, Creedence, even and the Eagles. So there's no B-listers on there. So if you were to sort of think of an influence that's not quite as big as those names, who would it be?
It's rock and roll stuff. Everly Brothers are a big influence. So purely because I love the music and they got me into it in the first place. Who would I listen to that? Like, yeah, Lady Gaga. She's influenced my fashion.
Right. Brilliant. Now, your forthcoming album is as yet untitled, and it's got a kind of a Nashville sound and country rock. I would describe it as firmly towards the Americana camp. And is that a genre that you're particularly interested to move towards?
Absolutely. That's where I see my music anyway. I always did. Before there was the tag of Americana, I was always kind of like rock music, but more country rock, I suppose, a little bit like Bon Jovi, but less rock, more country, a little bit lighter, if you like.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely. I mean, my influences, as you've quite rightly said, are Creedence Clearwater, bands like that, and the early influences. But yeah, Americana's it's a good movement, and I like it. And I've heard a lot of Americana acts. I mean, Don Henley's last album is an Americana album. It's fantastic. And I love the Eagles.
Yeah.
I mean, how would you class the Eagles? They're not country, they're not folk, they're not rock. What are they? They're Americana.
Yeah, I guess they must have been one of the original Americana bands.
Absolutely, yeah. Because they're like a bit of everything, but it's American music with American themes and an American vibe. And quite right, the album was recorded and mixed in Nashville. There's a good friend of mine, J.R. McNeely, who's based there. He was the producer and mixer of the album, and he's got a couple of Grammys. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
And, he's a very, very good friend of mine. So we're going to be doing more. Well, we're going to be working together forever until one of us dies.
Well, that's not too soon.
Right.
The next question I think I might know the answer to, but I'll ask it anyway. So, if you could play on stage with any one band, alive or dead, who would it be?
Beatles.
Yeah, I thought you'd say that.
Even though I'd look at noddy, wouldn't I? Can you imagine? The Beatles and then me. Yeah, no, it wouldn't look right, would it? Go on, Rob. It's not quite right.
Maybe you could just rock up in your Lady Gaga fashion and nobody would know the difference.
Yeah, the big pointy hats and things. And obviously the Beatles. But, there's lots of bands I would like to have been around. I would like to have toured with and seen, like the Stones would be a cool band to knock around with. Some big bands like that would have been cool. Most of those bands that came through the 60s were good. But the ones that are good live, the Who.
Yeah.
Live band, I mean, imagine being around that. I could have a few drinks with Roger Daltrey and get into some trouble, no problem.
I was trying to explain the rock opera Tommy to my children 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, right. Fantastic piece of work, right?
Yeah, I love it. Absolutely love it. 1975, long time ago.
75.
Yeah. And while we're reminiscing, so you've got the album coming out, and you've got the single True Romance. Are they available in anything other than the streaming platforms?
Not at the moment. The album will be when it comes out. It'll be obviously there'll be CDs of it, and there'll be some vinyl of that as well. But at the moment, because the singles, and it's just the way they do business nowadays, isn't it? Nobody really buys records, and certainly not singles. Everything's on download, so you can get it off Amazon and iTunes and play it through your Alexa and Spotify and whatever. It's all over there. No,
and it is something that we've definitely lost. I know things move on, but we've definitely lost that physical piece of music, the 12-inch album with lyrics and all that on it.
Well, you'll remember it just like me, the thrill when you get an album that you've been waiting for, right? And you're a young guy and you've saved up your money when you're a kid and you bought this album, you get it home. I mean, I'd sit there for hours looking at the sleeve. I'd read every word, inside, outside, down the spine, everything, every word on the record. And it was part of the kind of ritual, wasn't it, of getting a new album? It
was queuing up for it because you knew when the release date was. And
yeah. Well, in those days, we didn't have Tinterweb and everything to help us out, did we? And,
no, you read previews in Sounds and NME and Melody Maker, and you queued up for it.
Yeah, the industry's changed, but now it's about live performance, isn't it? It's about doing gigs, and all these guys that made money out of records the first time around, like the Stones and whatever, can carry on going because people still want to see them live. They're not going to sell records anymore, but not many people do. I mean, Ed Sheeran and guys like that do extremely well. But they're brilliant live as well. So if they couldn't do it live, they wouldn't sell any records, I'm sure of it.
That's exactly right. Exactly right. Well, listen, we're running out of time now. It's been a fascinating conversation. The time's absolutely flown by. But before we go, just tell our listeners a little bit more about when they can expect to hear True Romance and the album and where they can find out more about you.
Okay, well, you can find out from anything about me on social media platforms. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, everything. Rob Bridge Music. If you Google that, you'll find me. YouTube channel's got the video for True Romance on it. One or two bits and pieces, interviews and whatever. And this interview will probably go up on there as well if you send me the link.
I certainly will.
Yeah, listen on Spotify. Download the track. by all means, go on my Facebook page, like it, message me. You know, let's talk. I'll talk to anybody, and I enjoy hearing about it.
Absolutely brilliant. You've been a tremendous guest, Rob. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks, Mike.
And this is Rob Bridge and True Romance.
Darkest night could ever hide us or break us like when dawn has come. Just two shadows on the wall that fall together with the setting sun. I do believe we found the answer. Everybody's got it wrong. Doesn't matter what the truth is, where we lie, how we belong. When the last bottle falls, the last dance is called. We'll leave the night in the mirror, and if they catch us down the line, make it last until that time. Just gotta keep it together. And if at last the hammer falls, the fallen angels call, like a clapping of thunder. We have it all, so hold on tight. We can make it out alright. It's close, you know, that's better than never. And so ride this night together, lightning out while lovers on the run. Desperados always knowing the future's never set in stone. I do believe we are survivors. No doubt about this time, I know it's real. A leap of faith no longer needed. I want you, I always will. We'll be together just because it's either them or us. Just leave regret on the table. Roll the dice and take our chance for one true romance. Can never be a hope of surrender. And if I had the hammer fall, I heard those angels call, like a clapping of thunder. We had the cards and took our chance, bet it all on true romance, knowing that our hearts were forever. But when the devil came calling, I knew I'd seen him before. My mind was screaming, believing I could not find the door. I was stuck in the rhythm as we started to dance, lying beside me, true romance. We were together just because it was never them, just us. We swore we'd never surrender. We had it all and held on tight. Rode the lightning, rode it right. Two hearts together forever. True romance.
You've been listening to the Arts Show podcast with Mike Madden. Come back soon for more artists, authors, musicians, and anyone else connected with the arts. We're going to play out with Mike Sanchez and I Don't Stand a Chance.
Baby, you hiding something that you don't want me to know, because I'm getting a vibe from way down the side, like you're just about ready to go. And you can't tell me where you stayed last night, you just can't cope with treating me right. I'm on the road to heartbreak, now's the time to tell me so, because I'm getting a chill like I'm gonna be ill. I know you don't want me no more. I won't be satisfied with your little white lies. Girl, I've only just begun to realize I don't stand a chance. I don't stand a chance. You don't wanna know and I can't make you dance. Well, I said goodbye. Find yourself another guy. I wish you were mine, but I'm losing my mind. I don't stand a chance. Tell me so, because I'm getting a chill like I'm gonna be ill. I know you don't want me no more. I won't be satisfied with your little white lies. Girl, I've only just begun to realize I don't stand a chance. No, I don't stand a chance. You don't wanna know and I can't make you dance. Well, I'll say goodbye. Find yourself another guy. I wish you were mine, but I'm losing my mind. I don't stand a chance. I don't stand a chance. I don't stand a chance, baby. I don't stand a chance.